But this is important information that I wish I knew when I first got on the transplant list. Not every transplant center operates under the same guidelines. Every transplant center has their own guidelines, their own rules and regulations, their own curriculums that they operate around. Not every one of these is the same, and you can't treat each center the same. So I'll give you an example of my example. So I was on CPMC and UC Davis, right? So here's the thing. UC Davis had this semi extensive series of exercises that you needed to be able to accomplish. You had to pass this physical test of exercises that you had to do, right, in order to be eligible for transplant, either prior to you getting the call or on the actual day of you getting the transplant. They weren't clear on when I was supposed to do all these exercises. They just said that this was something that I needed to be able to do in order for me to be eligible for transplant. So they would put you through these tests. So when I went for my psych eval, they also had me do a physical exam, and I just would barely pass it. But even still, I was just right on the cusp. They still cleared me. But with CPMC in San Francisco, they had no such curriculums. They were just hey, listen, if your labs are good, your behavior is good, you pass our psych evaluation and blood types and wait times and all that stuff, you're good. So with CPMC in San Francisco, I had to wait about 4 years to get cleared before I was eligible for kidney offers. With UC Davis, I think it was 7 or 8 years before I was even cleared to be eligible for a transplant. So when you get put on a transplant list and you talk to your transplant coordinator, it is important to ask them, it's important for you to come to them with questions. Hey, is there anything that I need to do? Any sort of curriculums that you need, any special tests that you need to run that maybe just slipped between the cracks, maybe they forgot, is there anything extra that I need to do other than just maintain my health, make sure I get all my labs done, make sure that I go through their workup every once in a while, physical, psych evals, whatever. Other than that, is there anything else that I need to do that would inhibit me from moving forward on transplant? UC Davis had these requirements, and I was not aware of that. So I focused more of my attention on CPMC because, frankly, the transplant was easier to get. And they were the ones that gave me the kidney faster than UC Davis, despite the fact that UC Davis had the better reputation. And they were the ones that were the figureheads over CPMC. Nobody really ever talked about CPMC. UC Davis were the ones. And those were the ones that all the doctors recommended. But, because of friction I had with the transplant coordinator and the exercise curriculum, I felt like they either, one, did not care if I succeeded at this, and two, set me up to fail. But all of that aside, I didn't really care for the long wait time just to be eligible to be offered a kidney. I didn't care for that at all. CPMC had the shorter one, so that's the one I went with. They didn't have an exercise curriculum, so that's the one I went with. So I'm putting on my conspiracy theory hat here. I believe that certain transplant centers that cater to a certain demographic of people make these rules with the express purpose of knowing that some people aren't going to be able to complete these tasks. So that way they can give those transplants, those kidneys, those organs, whatever, to the people that they want to give them to. But that's just my theory. Putting on the conspiracy theory hat. But whatever you believe is entirely up to you. But when you get put on a transplant list, it's important to ask that question. Is there anything else that I need to do on top of everything else that you have me doing? So that way you are not surprised on the day where it's time for the transplant and something unforeseen happens and you lose that transplant because you didn't know that this was going to be a thing, or you didn't take that thing seriously when they introduced it to you.